Hello and welcome. This is Diana and you are watching Holistic Vibes. This is going to be a reading for the full moon that's coming up. I believe it's in Aries. And I was meditating, and what kept coming up is, what do you do when you can't see the path? How do you surrender into the inner knowing without knowing? And maybe there is some relevance in regards to the contemplation of like what you've been going through, with how your world has been like changing, transforming, growing, pivoting, right? Because even though we can't see the other side of the path that's being led, like there is... It's almost like a trust fall. It's almost like understanding that like God would not have brought you to this point in your life, in the evolution of the planet, without having a plan for you, right? So like through the initiation of the emotions, right, you come to a state of a centered peace. And it's through that you're rebirthing, getting ready to birth, a child, a new frequency, a new pathway, a pathway that is yet to be carved out, right? And that can be a very humbling experience when you've operated out of a state of control, right? Be it via your way of growing up, be it your own inner knowing, be it your way of controlling situations, right? And it's really standing in a firm foundation that you know that God is going to catch you, right? Like that your pathway will open up as you gently self-soothe into the next phase of this inner knowing, right? Whether or not it's you not necessarily seeing the out, right? It's not seeing the way through the storm that you're currently engulfed in. And they're just showing me like the resilience in the trees, right? The way that the wind hits the trees and there's a flex in the trees and it doesn't become unrooted. And again, that might be relevant for whatever you happen to be going through. I don't know. 101, 945, 229, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's, you could be seeing these numbers like consecutively, 2020. It could be something that's kind of been unpeeling over the last like 4 years. It's the caring for yourself, understanding the vessel that you live in, right? And that can be also a hard thing too. Because you can go through these periods, and I've been there, where you have given up on your body, right? Where you work so hard to maintain, and then for whatever reason you fall into a pit of despair, like something doesn't fall into place, like what you thought was meant to be doesn't unfold the way it is, the way you thought it was supposed to be. And that can be a very gut-wrenching experience, to think that, you know, you should have counted on X, Y, and Z, or counted on this person, or counted on this thing, or had the support that wasn't there. And you feel like you're walking in this vibration alone, right? You're walking in your own pathway alone. Your mind is essentially playing tricks on you, right? And through your sense of awareness of being, it's like on the vibration of inner peace, you are starting to gain clarity on the path that is coming into being. It's kind of like they're showing me like as you evolve, the person that you're connected to is also evolving. And it's hard to think that there's forward movement when your reality doesn't show you that there is forward movement, right? And in the end, I always say it is a journey with you and you. It's nobody else. And although you can hope for a divine love or for an elevated love or for counterpart that has your vibrational soul frequency, that resonance where they are your thoughts, right? And I've spoken about this a couple of times in regards to once your telepathy is open, it's quite easy for you to think, oh, I'm like super tapped into that person, because when I think of something, like they send me a song, right? Or I pick up the phone and they're already calling me. I decide I want tacos, they show up with my exact tacos, right? And it's that whole once you become aligned to a higher state of being, like your gifts are open. And so then that makes you more open, more susceptible to like the vibration of what you're receiving. And you can think that that person is in fact your soulmate, but in actuality, if they didn't step up and rise with you, then they're not your person. And it's a bitter pill to swallow when you get such clear intentions and clear visions. And I always say, like, it's always a potentiality in the quantum field of like what your reality could have been. And that's a mourning factor, right? We all have to go through those phases where we mourn the things that didn't come into being, because people can choose other timelines. Just because it's the timeline that you see, that you believe is your highest potentiality, does not mean that that's for that other person either, right? And so you can follow your impulses and still be led down a beaten path, right? You still can be led down the wrong pathway. And I think that that's kind of like the circle of elimination of the why something is happening to fall into place. I don't know. It's kind of like through your releasing of these energies, you're surrendering and connecting in with the divine. And through this, like, your conscious awareness is like you're getting out of a state of despair, right? And it's that fact versus fiction. And as you understand, like, the visions of the entities that are holding in your chakra centers, you kind of can start to unplug. And I talked about a little bit about this with the sacral energy, and maybe this is what you're doing as this full moon is unpacking, right? Because we're already in it. As you separate, like, okay, was this it, or was I just supposed to allow it to let it go and move on to the pathway that you're supposed to move on to, right? And you can check it up to a missed opportunity, right? You can allow the energy to like dissipate out of your field and become the transmuter. And it's kind of like is what you put all your eggs in the basket, was that like the wise investment? If you're always betting on yourself, then it always will be a wise investment, right? Because in the end, like, you can't take money with you. And yes, money does make the world go easier, but it is it's just a means of energetic frequency. And as you align with whatever collective consciousness you are attempting to enter into with, I don't know. They're saying it's like the concentration through the resourcefulness of like how your bounce back is. Because in the end, you are a phoenix and you are a fool. It's kind of the reevaluation of like the idealisms of what you thought it meant to be successful, or what it meant to be the vibration of love, right? And kind of understanding the spells that you agreed to within your filled. It's like, have you ever had like, or been around somebody that says, yeah, and nobody's asking them the question, but they're essentially talking to entities without bodies, and they're agreeing to things that they don't necessarily know that they're agreeing to, because they can't hear the other half of that story. They're just kind of responding, right? And there's something about like going into isolation to kind of release it's like the chains that bound you, the chains that have held you in a state of flux. It's kind of like you didn't want to necessarily like take the leap of faith because you were scared that the minute you take the leap of faith, that all of a sudden something is going to come back from your past. I don't know. But there's something in regards to the letting go, and then the stepping into the vibrational frequency of like joy of, and you know, lost opportunities is on the board quite a few times. But it's kind of like understanding like you had to choose you in order to get back into a state of like your balance. And so like during this moon, like maybe you need to start like identifying the stuff that like didn't, thank you. They just said it's really like implementing like your mental clarity of where your anxiety has kind of like been leading, where it has come from, where you've held yourself back from a divine kind of love, right? Where you've been living in a state of disappointment, where your offer was not accepted, right? Because when you sit there and you are undervalued, when somebody doesn't look at you at the same depth of love that you do, you know, it can feel like a state of balancing. It could feel like a state like you're on a ledge by yourself. And that's not a storybook kind of love, right? Like having somebody who compliments you 120% and knows what you need in the moment. And those kind of love, that love does exist, right? And for those of you that are highly intuitive, like why can't you have a counterpart that is exactly like you? You should not hold out for anything except for what you truly design and know is divine. And like the thing is it's like, stop selling yourself short for a muggle when you could have a magician, when you could have somebody who is so elevated and so capable of transmuting energy just like you. And so like put your intentions, because the energy is ripe, right? For a divine love, for a love that like fairy tales were written after, you know? And they're just showing like it is going to electrify your body to where the magnetism is going to be so intense that it's undeniable. It just said that is it. You just need one. So it says, within the transcendental realm of your soul, there are endless universes, each inconceivably vast and at the same time inconceivably small. Even in the tiniest particle of the subatom atomic matter. I'm just laughing because it's like, I literally like, it's all about like, there's this quantum understanding of different timelines. And that's exactly what this is talking about. I love when they do this. It says creation is a cosmic motion picture in which you are both director and actor. Look within and express outwardly the endless waves of love within you. May your love embrace the earth and fill all creation. And it's really like that burst in the heart center and emanating and pushing the energy out, pulling it into your heart center and pushing it completely out, right? and setting the divine intention that like whoever your counterpart is, you know, that you are setting a precedent, that you want a mirrored soul, that you want somebody who has literally lived a life, right? But has mirrored you. And it's like, don't allow yourself to settle for what you know God has intended for you, right? That right person is out there. And it's all about like you being in alignment with the here and the now, and then actually pulling in your highest timeline. What does your dream house look like? What does your dream spouse look like? What do you want to wake up to and wake up with in the morning time, right? How close can you mimic your desires in your current reality? How can you bring yourself into a state of peace and ease and joy and flow? And like the more you lean into that, the more you're not going to be stuck on the missed opportunities and that negative energy that you've been holding on to. Because the truth is like the devil wants you to be in a state of a lower vibration, of the coulda, woulda, shouldas, of the uncertainty of, you know, the life you could have had. And it's one of those things that like the minute that you come at peace, that was not your person, because they chose a different avenue, right? And if for whatever purpose, reason, whatever the lesson happened to be, and call back the energy that you've given to all of your sexual partners and call it all back to you now, right? Any person that you've ever given love to, that you've given away open-heartedly and without expectation of getting it back, and call all of that energy back to you and cut all the cords of anybody that happens to be feeding on your energy, right? It's time for you to like align with your highest and best potential, and for you to ramp up the what you desire in this moon. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a big fan of like writing things out and then releasing it to God. And by burning it and asking God to intervene and help you, right? Like you're allowing your human self to like release it fully, and you're giving it away to the spiritual self of you into a higher frame of being. Some people have a misconception of it. For me, I fully and wholeheartedly agree with that resonance of releasing the what you're holding on to. It helps you get over things, and it just kind of shifts your vibration. And you have to remain optimistic, right? Like, even though you feel like your world is falling, even though you feel like you've been in stagnation, even though you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm this old and this hasn't happened yet. Whatever it happens to be that you're holding on to, right? Understand like there is a clearing that is currently happening through the collective consciousness. And it's really to help get you in line with your highest vibration. For those of you that have been backsliding, I just want you to close your eyes, right? And scan your body. For those of you with a lot of back pain, a lot of lower back pain, a lot of plat energy impediment, let's just go ahead and clear out all that energy. Just take a deep breath and like see a circle of light pushing out of your body, allowing yourself to fully like reset. And let's pull in a light pastel pink and a light pastel green and a light pastel blue, and just push that energy fully out, right? It says the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all of their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So for those of you that don't believe that God has heard you, like, know that you've been heard. Know that like what is for you will be for you. Psalms 34, 17, and 18 may be relevant for you. Maybe you need to meditate on that and see like what is it that you are still holding on to, that you need to cry out to God, that you need to like ask for divine intervention. And Whatever's happening in the rib area, let's just go ahead and activate that and deactivate any cords, impediments, hooks, lures, attachments. Let's transmute the entire body, head to toe. Let's go ahead and just throw burst in there. Any manipulative energy that is attempting to keep anybody in a state of obsession, disappointment, sorrow, control, anxiety, fear, lack of intuition, out of peace, out of stability. You are all required to exit. Let's open up your wings and let's fluff the wings so that way you get a little bit of alleviation from that back pain. Hopefully you have a great night's sleep and your energy feels fully shifted, fully rested, fully refreshed, and renewed. I'm going to leave that there. I hope something in this resonated with you. I hope that you feel a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter. And until next time, be well. If you would like a healing or a clearing, there is information below. And yeah, ciao.